Hello, this is Wes Bridle, and this is another Kingdom Calling Economic Update video. This is Inflation Concerns video 2. All these videos are short-term clips about what's been going on over the last 3 months to follow up on the Coming Storm video, which we did 2 years ago, that really gives you a big picture of what's happening in the economy. We predicted all the crazy stuff that's going on now. We told you about 2 years ago. And so if you haven't seen that, you really need to see that because that gives you the big picture. As far as the details, I'm going to jump into it, and we're talking about things that affect or are proof of inflation. Fed revealed by court order, of course, the Freedom of Information Act, that they doled out $7.77 trillion in the 2008 crisis. That's half the size of the U.S. economy. The Fed just printed away on, by computer touch. The banks at that time were acting like they weren't in trouble. Clearly they were if they were taking such massive amounts of money. 11 countries had some form of QE in the past 3 months, with JP Morgan guessing 6 more will soon follow. That would surpass the 15 that did it in third quarter 2009. Fitch put us on negative rating outlook, so there's 50% chance that Fitch is going to join the S&P in downgrading the United States debt. In the first version of the swap that was just announced between, 6 or 8 world governments, not much of the money was used. So I talked about this in the last video, but it may just be that when the severe crisis happened that money is used. The first one, not a ton of it was. The ECB refuses to save the banks, so the Fed stepped in. So because ECB has a strong Bundesbank kind of background, Germany refuses to print. They made that mistake already in the 1920s, and they realized how horrific it is, and they refuse to go down that road again. The rest of the Western world hasn't made that mistake themselves. I mean, France did it a long time ago, but no one alive remembers that. It's happened in England too a long time ago, but they don't remember. It's actually happened in the United States too, but it was so long ago no one remembers it, and so they don't remember how horrible it is. In Germany, it happened most recently, and there's still people alive that remember it, and they talk to the other people. They will not make that mistake up again. So the ECB would rather we go into a deflationary depression than a hyperinflationary one because they know what is worst. The rest of the West doesn't know. They just don't believe that will happen, and so they're willing to play with that fire. So the ECB won't step in and print money for Europe, but the Federal Reserve, the United States, you and me are very happy to do that apparently. And let's see. Ron Paul said the Fed claims it shouldn't be audited to preserve its independence. He made a great point. Ron Paul is always pushing to have the Federal Reserve audited by Congress. And the people who are against that say, well, they need to stay independent. And Ron Paul brought up this point, wait a minute, it's very clear based on Obama's promises and then Bernanke following up and backing up those promises that the Federal Reserve is not independent. They're working closely with Obama. So why, again, can't we audit you? And he's got an excellent point. Congratulations, U.S. debt. If you're an American, the debt is now greater than GDP. Historically, that's a terrible sign of what's to come. Can we expect QE3 in January? There are 3 fairly strong hawks on the Federal Reserve Board that are coming. They rotate, and the hawks are the ones that are against money printing and any kind of relaxing in general and increasing the money supply. The doves think that's wonderful, and so the hawks are moving off and the doves are coming on. So it's possible we're going to see QE3 in January. Bernanke just kind of put out their announcement in December. They're not doing anything, but he's ready to pull that trigger if he feels it's necessary. It's going to be, it's probably going to be coming here first quarter maybe, but it certainly seems like they have a green light to do that. And let's see, the Fed has promised Congress that it would not use its power to bail out foreigners. I think I already covered that one. Patriot, gold, and lottery bonds being pushed by governments worldwide. So governments are getting desperate to sell their worthless paper to people, and people are more and more figuring out, the market's figuring out, wait a minute, if I buy that bond, I'm going to get less back in real value than I put into it. So no, I don't want to buy that. So they're coming up with all kinds of schemes. You can expect all kinds of versions of this, if not outright, arm twisting and making us do it in the U.S. But right now around the world, you have people having patriot bonds, and they have famous soccer players coming up and say you should buy the bonds because you're a good patriotic Italian. Or they have in Japan, gold. We'll give you gold if you buy our worthless paper. Or they have lottery bonds which pay 0 interest whatsoever, but you have a chance to win a lot of money, like a lottery. So these are the kind of tactics that governments are coming up with because they're getting more and more desperate. These are all signs of some really hard times ahead, and sovereign debt wipeouts here coming soon, which are of course signs of printing, which is inflation. I hope you enjoyed this inflation video. I'm going to move next to the U.S. economy and what's going on there. Again, if you haven't watched the coming storm video, I really recommend you do that. There's a link to do that for free right near this video. Thank you. God bless you.